Hello everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay. First of all, I'd like to tell you that I speak the oldest classical language in the world, which is Tamil. And from the very first speaker right up to him, I see a small portion of Tamil from all what they said. Genocide, to me, is a word that is misconceived very often. So I urge all of you, especially if there are students here, go and do your personal research. As the lady mentioned, there are 5 elements to the genocide. Every one of us has some part of that element that we have endured. So just don't think killing is just genocide, taking the life. No, there are other 5 parts. Now, the Sri Lankan, the Tamil genocide, I would say dates back to 2,500 years, right? But I can't be relating the whole history. Our history was kind of erased. Europeans came in 1505. Then, like he said, our sovereignty was taken by the Europeans. Finally, the British handed it over to the Sinhalese, who are majority in numbers. So you know how democracy works. And he was talking about deprivation of government jobs, etc., etc., and recognition of government jobs by the Belgium people. The Belgium colonizers. Exact same thing happened to the Tamils. The British recognized us because, like that lady said, we gave so much weight to education and we had merits. So the Sinhalese thought that we were a threat to them. And we gained independence in 1948. 6 months right after the independence, the first element of genocide took place in Sri Lanka. There are 800,000 Tamil-speaking people, just because they were brought as slaves from India, were disenfranchised to reduce the power in parliament. Then 1949, there was under the pretext of irrigation scheme, Tamil lands were forcibly conscripted and colonized by the Sinhalese. 1956 starts the first racial riots. 1,500 people killed, businesses destroyed, all these falls under those elements. Then 58, the same thing. 1977, the same thing, which I was a survivor of. 1983, again I was a survivor, the same thing. And in 1983, the civil war started. From 83 to 2009. Tamils were bombed, like what's happening in Ethiopia. We were bombed from the air. We were deprived of food. The government deliberately stopped supplies. In 1983, the late Indian Prime Minister, called what's happening in Sri Lanka as a genocide in 1983. So now it is still continuing even after the end of the war. Now it's 16 years. It's continuing with those elements. The war culminated within the last 6 months of the war between the Tamils and the Sri Lanka government. That is between 2008 October and 2009 May. 146,000 people, 146,679 people were either killed or made to disappear. UN official stat says 70,000 were killed. So the 146,679 disappeared. UN doesn't want to accept it. 4 resolutions were passed since then. Sri Lankan government doesn't want to cooperate. Canada passed 3 motions. And Canada sanctioned the 2 past presidents and 2 military officers in 2023. Last week on the 24th, the British government sanctioned the Major General who was spearheading the army during the war. Nothing happens. I was at the UNHRC. I presented my statement in 2022. What's really happening is we all share the same thing, but these countries, they have all these things called the UN, this, that, everything. They are just on paper. They don't want to work for us. We have to push them. And this is where Joanne comes into play. I acknowledge her, and I acknowledge her enthusiasm. On my call in 2022, I said we have to organize an alliance. And Joanne took it to heart, and she worked hard. And we are here. So what I'm trying to say is, I can speak for hours on the Sri Lankan genocide. And I thought till 2022 October, the Sri Lankan genocide, at least the last 6 months of the war, was the biggest genocide of the millennium. But one day, when I was watching Al Jazeera in 2022 October, right, the newscaster goes, 800,000 people killed in Tigray in 2 months. I told Joanne, and I told somebody else in this group, hey, you guys have lost 800,000 people in 2 months. So now this is the biggest genocide for this millennium. So what I'm trying to say is we all share the same thing, right? Personally, on the Tamil genocide, I can speak a lot, and we are I think the 4th largest diaspora in Canada. And to bring the Sri Lankan, the Tamil war to an end, we only had 50,000 rebels. To kill 50,000 rebels, the Sri Lankan government got the aid of 39 countries using even chemical bombs. These are all recorded. And one of those 39 countries, sadly, was Canada, giving technological devices. Right? So if we want to get our cause heard and get justice for our people, we have to expand, bring more friends of yours, find more communities. This group has to expand. We have to tap the doors of the Parliament Hill and get them to listen to us and, work on this. Finally, I'll tell you one other thing. There's something called the core group on Sri Lanka at the UNHRC. Canada is one of the core group members. Having about 600 to 700,000 Tamils here, having the justice minister as a Tamil, right? And another deputy minister in the Ontario legislature, Canada is still unable to get justice through the UN system for us. Because it's politicized.
Yeah.
There's no political will in the UN system to help communities such as ours. Not the Tamils, all of a sudden. So let's all work together, and I'll stop at this. And at the next session, I'll